Okay, guys, I'm gonna go over why Star Wars The Last Jedi is so controversial, right? Because there's no denying that. It's fact that, some people love it, some people hate it. Critics loved it, audiences hated it. How do I feel? Well, I'm in that middle. I, myself, is controversial because elements I like and elements I don't, you know. But now let's go into the criteria of what it means to be controversial. So I think there's a few criterias of controversial. I think one criteria could be that it's one is literally half could hate it and half could not. That's controversial. That's the simplistic way it could be controversial. Is half of the people like it and half the people don't. But usually the most controversial things are in a franchise greater than itself. It's like if I just watched like an original movie, that's not in a series, that's not in a franchise, you can't really be controversial about it because, well, you could, but like you don't really get to, because what are you going to compare it to? And the most controversial films are not necessarily like bad films in how they're made, more or less bad films in its franchise, I feel like, is where controversial films lie. And I mean, Terminator, I guess you could say like Terminator 3, Terminator Genesis, and Salvation, kind of controversial a little bit, but not as much. I think this is like the most famous case of a controversial movie in a franchise. The number one is one of the standouts of all time. So it's not just like a mini franchise where only, diehard fans would get controversial about it. We see with Star Wars, uh, uh, more people are diehard fans than in Star Wars than probably like everybody who's watched, other films. So I think because Star Wars has probably the biggest, other than the MCU, which surprisingly the MCU hasn't had much controversial films. See, the thing is with Star Wars is that I think Star Wars has up to before Last Jedi, their fan base, Star Wars' fan base, let me tell you, was huge. MCU is still pretty huge, so I'm saying I don't know which one has a bigger fan base. Now it's definitely MCU, but then again, after Star Wars Celebration, we don't really know, because it seemed like that definitely redeemed fans, because I think if you are truly a Star Wars diehard fan, there's something in there for you that you'll enjoy. Whether it be the teaser trailer, whether it be The Mandalorian, and whether it be Clone Wars. And even if you like Resistance, go ahead for some of the younger fans of Star Wars. Like me, but I'm not a fan of Resistance. I'm more of that Clone Wars type. Because Clone Wars was my childhood, not Resistance. While I'm still in my childhood, when you can have Clone Wars, why Resistance? But anyways, back onto the whole track about controversial. And the whole thing is that another point it's also probably controversial is about, it could also be controversial in yourself, which is kind of my controversial. Where I see it is like, if someone hated it and they have good points that you can agree with them, but someone who loves it, you have good points. Because I kind of had like two reviews, one like pretty positive review and one pretty negative review, but there's still a few points with like the Luke Skywalker stuff, undeniably wrong. But then again, that throne room scene I really liked. Yeah, and yet again, I didn't really like that, but I didn't really mind that, but this and that and that. But it's fine. I didn't care about this. I cared about this. I didn't like that. I like that. So it's kind of controversial. I'm not the only one who, it's not just controversial where I solely hate it. It's more of I'm controversial about it. I know so many people who are just like me, where it's like, I'm not going to say I like it, but I definitely don't hate it. Because if you look at my placement, it's not really in the middle, but it's hard for me. Because, like, as soon as I watched it, I just, like, this is my favorite Star Wars film. And then when I recalibrated, no, it wasn't. That was an immediate reaction. Then it was like, oh, it's my third favorite. And then I read all the hate. And then I thought about it after I got saw people hating it. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I get that negative point. And then so I was like, see, I don't really like this film, but then I like that part. And I like that. So that's another way movies are controversial. First one, I think. And I think for people who hate it and people they love it, both sides bring up really good, valid points. And that's what you gotta realize is what makes it so controversial is some of this stuff. If you're a Star Wars fan, then the hate towards it can be justified, and the love towards it can be justified because there's things to love and there's things to hate, and that's what makes it controversial, is that there's so many different things going for it that's good. And I think that's what makes every movie that is controversial is it's, I think most movies in a franchise get controversial when you make a bold move in a big franchise. That's what makes it controversial. No, I'm crossing my fingers. Episode 9 won't be like that. But I'm making a video. So yeah, it's really controversial, and I'm ready to see what happens.